Welcome back to Online Darts, everyone. We're here at the wonderful Bradmore Farm for Operation Bullseye. Glenn, this is a special day, isn't it? Because it's not serious, but defence darts is on the rise, and this is helping something no end.
And the catalyst being my niece, Zara Durrant, because let me tell you, I've tried to pull out this competition over the past 3 months every single week, but she wouldn't let me. And you interviewed me just on the back of a 2-0 defeat there. But do you know what? We played all right. We played okay. If we'd have hit that double tops, double tens, double fives in the first leg, it'd have been really different there. So, to be honest, I'm glad it's over now. And, we move on to Inverness tomorrow.
But it's special days like this because the game is flourishing at the top end, as we always see. But it's nice to see that it's growing in other areas. And defence darts could be huge for these service people.
Yeah, she has a vision. She has. Chris Dobie, can you read him there? What an idiot. Absolute Jordan. She has a vision, Phil. I mean, she has dreams, she has aspirations, and listen, she'll talk her head off. And, to get the level of the professionals she's got here today, I mean, there's 500 people in there watching it. The venue is sensational, by the way. I think all the sponsors have done a great job, but listen, I'm here because of Zara Durrant. I'm here because of the veterans. I'm here because of defence darts, and she's doing absolutely terrific.
The standard in the service, guys, is really good as well, isn't it?
Yeah. The guys just come to me, Jamie, who I played with there, just so apologetic because we had an opportunity there because they're taking it so seriously. The first game, Vince Tipple and Keegan Brown, they won it last time. It was nervy. There was missed darts at doubles, and just watching the amateurs, the guys playing who are not normally used to it there. It's been terrific. It's been a real learning curve for a lot of them.
How good would it be for the sport if we could get an active service person on tour?
Well, I think Jasper Scarrett is somebody who played on the... there's a couple of players as well. There's Danny Humphreys, Vince Tipple himself, who I've mentioned there. There's some fantastic players. When I was looking at the draw, I was hoping to get one of those guys because, let me tell you, last time I played, my partner, the Navigator, he carried me. But they're loving it. They're loving absolutely every second of it, and I'm loving it too. It's been a great night so far.
Professional game is in such a good place right now, in the middle of World Series, off the back of the World Cup. Team England bonded and just done what we expected them to do, and it's great to see.
Yeah, it was actually. I mean, I was hoping to be there. I watched it as a fan in my local pub as well, and they had to get through that first game against Spain. I think that once they got through that, then they got to know each other just a little bit more. That winning mentality, that feel between them, and then there was just some breathtaking darts after that. I thought it was a fantastic competition actually, and delighted that England. And I remember watching Luke Humphreys in the airport the day after when he won it with Michael Smith, and you realise then how much he wanted it. I'm sure the airport would have been pretty similar. Him and Luke. The two best players in the world bonding together. It was a great competition.
Oh, the after party was still going on when the sun was up. The after party was still going on.
Brilliant. That's great to hear because you've got to celebrate your successes. I've been dreading 4 or 5 nights away from home. They're doing it weekly. So when you get those real highs like the pair of Lukes did, it's good for them.
Look, should we be surprised though? Look, they are 1 and 2 in the world, and putting rivalry aside can be difficult, but they did, and they gelled this time around, and then went head to head in New York and smacked each other up again.
Yeah, what a game! Yeah, I thought New York. I think you call it your favourite city in the world, and it delivered. I thought the first round was a bit ropey.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, they've just arrived. You've got to get used to the jet lag, and I thought it was a bit ropey. I got a little bit nervous about how they're going to showcase their talents. But from the last 8 onwards, I thought it was a terrific competition. And Luke Humphreys right now looks to be the best player in the world. I mean, he'll have been disappointed not to win the Premier League. From the guy who played that game, and you'll tell me what night it was, where he was trial and error with that throw. He was slowing it down, and to see him playing like he's doing right now, he goes into the match plays. For me, I think he goes into it his favourite. And he's fit, he's hungry, he wants to win titles again. Luke Humphreys for me for the match player.
Was it important for him to beat Luke? Because we'd seen Luke beat him in so many last leg deciders, whether that be nightly Premier League wins or the final of itself. How important was that going into the match play for Luke Humphreys to beat Luke in a final and the last leg decider?
Yeah, I think it's massive. We talk about the mentality of things and just to get that win. I mean, to win in New York's big. They're not going over for an exhibition. They want to win that there. And, I wax lyrical and about Luke Litler, because I just think he's just something I probably have never seen in the flesh. Don't forget, I didn't really see Phil Taylor at his best apart from watching him on TV. The Michael Van Gerwen era, I was in the BDO plying my trade. So to watch Luke Litler he's doing right now is sensational for me as a commentator, as a pundit. So we need someone to challenge him, and right now that seems to be Luke Humphries, who's thrown quite beautifully.
Are we blessed to have these two going at it at the same time?
We are so blessed. I'm grassroots. I'm grassroots. I do a lot of coaching now. So whether it's an academy volunteer, whether it's someone who's been inspired by Luke Litler, them two guys are making a massive difference, not just to the game itself, but to the grassroots. You go to the academies, Phil, they're bursting. Why they're bursting? Because of what's happening in the game right now. And Luke Little and Luke Humphries are demonstrating everything that we need to showcase our game.
Well, it's that showing globally. Obviously, the ESPN deal got announced in the States, which is massive. Like, people don't understand how big ESPN is a broadcaster around the world, but especially in North America. And then it looks as if we're going to go to the main hall at Madison Square Garden coming up. What a time and what a growth this is. This is scary, but brilliantly scary. Yeah,
people say, do you wish you played in this era? I mean, of course I do, but, we are just enjoy it while we can right now. 5,053 people in New York, and it's only going to get bigger. It's getting bigger because we've got fantastic players. We are, it's an entertainment business as well, and we're doing that fantastically well, and the two Lukes are certainly playing their part in that.
You said a word in there which I liked, entertainment. Do some players need to perhaps realise that it's not just sport anymore? Sport and entertainment go hand in hand, and I get finding that balance that you can't go completely entertainment, but that you also then can't be complete robot and give nothing on stage. Is that a balancing act that some players are finding hard and others are getting it?
I mean, it's not easy. I was Mr. Mesmeric, I was Mr. Robotic himself. You don't think about entertaining at that side, but I think I witnessed Luke Littler's 211th different throw this time, because he's having fun up there. The reactions with the crowd, the way the crowd are with Gerwyn Price now, it's great to see, but it's very difficult in the moment to try and think, I want to win this game, but also entertain. They're letting the darts do the talking, staggering averages, massive finishes. That 170 finish, I was in my kitchen. That 170 finish in the World Cup by Litler, I jumped in the air. I mean, that's what entertainment's about. They're letting the darts do the talking.
Match play is on the horizon, and there are some household names, some staples of the match play that are going to miss out by the look of it. This feels like a real changing of the guard in front of our eyes now. Like your Wessel Nyman's doing what he's doing, and your Peter Wrights, your Barneys, and your perhaps Dave Chisnell's missing out. This feels like a real switch at the moment. Yeah,
it certainly does. And you asked me a question in Ali Pali, is there a player that's going to come through? And I said it would be Wessel Nyman. And if he can transform that form that he's got, on the floor to the stage, he's magnificent. But to see Chizzy, to see Michael Smith, to Peter Wright, I don't get any satisfaction about them not being there. But the players coming through, some players like Cameron Menzies. I mean, we're right in the eve of the next Pro Tour as well. But there does seem to be that gap between that 16th qualifier and Dave Chisnell. So Damon Hector Chisnell. So we'll all be watching, changing the guard. There's so many young players coming through. Absolutely.
Yeah, look, 4.5 grand is a lot to make up in 2 Pro Tours. Look, of course, Chizzy can do it, but it's a lot just in 2 Pro Tours.
I was looking at Michael Smith if he won them both, because I just think Michael Smith, when he's winning and playing well, the game's in a better place as well. But unless I've got my numbers wrong, Phil, even if he won them both, the both Pro Tours in Leicester on Monday, Tuesday, he still doesn't qualify for the match play. So that's staggering to see. Change of the guard, I still think the cream will rise to the top. I think it's going to be a fabulous competition. Every year we say the world match play is just the best 32 players, the best it's ever been. And I've just travelled down to Aylesbury with Chris Dobie, and he's told me which players he doesn't want in the first round of the match play. But I can't wait for it.
I remember talking to you when you called it a day. You said you knew and you couldn't wait to get out the door. Peter Wright and Raymond van Barneveld are in danger of not qualifying for any TV tournament between now and the end of the year. Barney's way off the world. Peter's hanging on to a seeded spot but if he loses that seeded spot, he's miles off. Are they in danger of tarnishing their amazing legacies by hanging on too long? And The way the World Championships is these days, I think there's over 80 spots available for tour card holders out of 128. If you don't make it, you have to have a serious look, don't you?
Yeah, with Barney, I think his legacy's there. I still think he's so extremely busy on the exhibition circuit, but we've had that retirement from him already. Peter's a different animal, from the guy who changes darts every time to the guy who's saying he still will win the World Championships this year. Remember when I played, I was down and out.
Oh, yeah.
So that's different for Peter, right? But the reality's there. Every time he sort of comes onto a pro tour, I'm sort of looking at his averages, I'm looking at things. It's not easy, Phil.
I agree.
When you're on that downward trajectory and you're in the 50s, just your body is different. Your body changes, and it's hard. And I don't expect Barney or Peter Wright to be getting back up to the upper echelons of darts.
What do you make of players missing all these events at the moment? Pro Tours I kind of understand, because in the grand scheme of things for the top players, they're not as important, but a lot of them are also missing Euro Tours now as well. Are you surprised by this course that certain players are taking?
Surprised, no, but the game needs them to be at the Euro, on the Euro Tours. I think it's a wonderful pathway for a lot of players. And if you're going to go to Leverkusen next week, then you want to see Litler, you want to see Humphreys, you want to see Price. But just the way that the diary is right now, a lot of the players are realising that they've got the opportunity not to go to these competitions, and that's got to be corrected. How, I don't know, but it's not great. But they're just managing their time. I know what it's like to be away for 4 days. I mentioned I travelled up with Chris. He showed me his diary for July, August, September. It's staggering. You're barely at home. That's not right. So players choose not to go away. They're off playing golf in Malaga or wherever they are. But there needs to be a solution.
I know you said you don't know what that solution is. It's going to take you into your PDPA world here. Is that something that's being spoken about and trying to find a way to correct it so more players are playing more events?
I'll give you the scoop. Yeah. So I put my resignation into the PDPA on Monday. No big thing. Left on good terms, my decision. I have a wonderful relationship with every single director, and Nicola as well. They're a fabulous team, but I won't be doing PDPA anymore going forward in the future.
Well, okay. That's quite a surprise. Obviously, I'm just sat here and you've just told me and wasn't aware of that. Seems quite a surprise, because you've done a lot over the last couple of years with the coaching, talking to players. So what's brought that on? But
not enough. Name something else. Now, I designed a leaflet, a booklet, which I was really proud of. Took me 20, 40, 60 hours. We put it on the 128 tables at the Pro Tour number 1. At the end of play, I collected in number 78. So you talk about I did well with the communication of players. Well, the booklet was meant to do that. I've tried to talk to as many players, but for every player I've tried to help, there's other players who said, "Are you still on the PDPA, Glenn?" Well, they should know that. And that's down to me, the fact that they work hard. Alan's a great leader. Andy Scott lives and breathes the game. Jamie Cavan will take on the mantle of being the PDPA chairman, president in the next 10 years. That I'm confident of. Jacques as well, a massive respect. But something had to give, Pete. Something had to give, and people will say, I worked with Peter as much as I could. I have massive respect for Peter Manley, and people will think he's packed in because of this, that, and the other. The fact is, it has nothing at all to do with the directors. I give it because I really couldn't keep up with the workload. I've given him my explanation of why I couldn't do it, and my diary's disgusting. And whenever there's a PDPA meeting, I was looking at the clock, and that's not right. Not when you're getting a retainer. Not when you're getting a retainer, a lump sum amount of money. There's been a director, and I wasn't able to, for me, do the duties, because I know what doing a good job is, because I worked in a job for over 30 years. So I'm slightly disappointed that the PDPA ruling, but I will never slag off the PDPA. I will not say a bad word about them. The support mechanisms are there for the players. They'll be looking at restructuring in the future. They'll be looking at modernising in the future. They've got to do that moving forward. There's a lot of money in the kitty. at the PDPA. That's something I can tell. It's on Company's House.
Well, I'm going to bring that up in a second.
Yeah, there's money there, but that can improve. But I have a different mentality about the PDPA than when I first started.
One thing I'm going to pick you up on is how you worded a couple of things there, and you don't have to answer this.
I'll answer anything.
You praised everyone,
yeah,
apart from one person, and then said, "I worked with him as well as I could."
Yeah.
Is he difficult to work with then, Peter? Because you praised everyone else,
yeah,
and then you said you worked with him as best as you could compared to everyone else. Is he difficult?
We're similar. We wind each other up. We give, we take. He's not the easiest to work with, but I have a lot of respect for Peter Manley. More respect than people would think. People would think it's an easy answer that I'm not getting on with a member of the PDPA. That's not the case. They work a lot harder than I did as a PDPA director. But there was times, certainly, I had a lot of frustrations. They were the negatives, but the positives outweigh the negatives. And I'm sitting there being really honest, Phil.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
The reason I'm leaving is because I wasn't good enough. Not because I didn't get on with Peter Manley. Not because, we're similar.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, we're very, very similar. I'm leaving because I wasn't good enough.
Now, this one regarding the money, this is probably a double question, or there's probably two sides to this, depending which way you're looking at it, player or Glen Durrant as you are now. Company's House, over 1.5 million sat in the bank, which is an awful lot of money. And with your PDPA hat on, I'm sure you're going to say that this money is going to be used for this, and this.
No, I don't know.
So, as a player, would you have the hump seeing over 1.5 million of the players' money sat in a bank not doing anything for the players?
I think what I would say to the players, what would you like to see spend? Because there's a lot of short-term answers. Pay for this at the Pro Tour. There's a lot of short-term answers because I can't think of something strategically what we could spend the money on. We can give short-term hits. We can give every Pro Tour player $2,000. We can do something towards every first-round loser at a Pro Tour, which I've tried to fight for. But how long is that? Can we sustain that with 1.5 million in the bank? I don't know. So there's a lot of money there. But I can't sit here and say that the PDP are ready to spend heavily on this, that and the other. Peters and Alan have looked after the money really well. But will the players want to hear that?
I don't think so.
Exactly. So, I'm going to put it back. I'll put it back to you and I'll put it back to the players. If we have got that, if the PDP have got that level of money, what would they want to see it being spent on? Because I think the support services, the mechanisms that are in place for people, for every single player is there. I'd put it back to the player. What would you like to see the money spent on?
No, and I really appreciate your honesty on this. And I know that we've laughed and so on and things, but you've never ducked anything like that. So I massively appreciate your honesty on that. Moving forward, then, where does Glen Durrant go from here? Is there any way that you would go back, and if you were asked, and because a lot of people have said you have done good since you've been there, is there any way that you would go back?
Well, I would go back. You never say no. And as the director said, what if everything ended tomorrow? What if Sky said, Glenn, you've been a great commentator, but we don't want you no more? ITV said to me, thanks for the 2 competitions you did in 2026, but we won't be looking at you in 2027. I've got an office now. I've got the coaching's going great. What happens if the Luke Litler the bubble bursts in 2027? Nobody wants to come to, and it's not as rock and roll. And all of a sudden, then I'm looking like all these busy periods I had in my career. I enjoyed my time at the PDPA, but the message I want to say to you is I wasn't good enough. I wasn't satisfied myself with what I was doing. When I was hearing, are you still on the PDPA? That hurt, because they should know I am. I should be out there saying, look, if you've got a problem, come and talk to me. Would I go back? Yeah, possibly, but things would have to change.
Looking ahead to the rest of the year, it's an exciting year ahead, and I'm interested in this Luke Littler conundrum, because he's adamant he doesn't want to go to the Pro Tour, but then all of a sudden that law of holding every trophy at the same time is being spoken about. Do you think we'll see him on a Pro Tour this year?
Well, I don't think he'll win the match play.
Well, if that's the case, then you won't see him.
Then you won't see him. And I sit here, maybe not the biggest fan of Luke Litler. I'm the biggest fan of his dad. I just think he's just the most wonderful person. I get on well with him so well. I barely know Luke. What's he going to chat with me about? He's just. No, but I always say he's going to win this tournament. He's going to win it. It's almost like it's quite boring with Sky. I don't think he wins the match play. I like the look of Luke Humphries. I like the look of a couple of players as well, which I'll let you know coming through. And I think that'll make his decision that we won't see him there. But if you're the boss of ITV and you're the boss of Butlins, and comes November when it's a wonderful tournament, you want to see Luke Littler in it. So. Part of me hope he does win match play, goes to a pro tour and does really well there, but he'll make the decisions. He'll make the right decision.
Well, you said something interesting there about the commercial side of it and the commercial value. Now, let's say Luke Littler doesn't go to a pro tour and he misses the Players' Championship. We've seen Michael van Gerwen miss, we've seen Aspinall miss. Humphries is only playing a limited amount. Yes, he's won one of them, which probably gets him there. Are we at a point, or do you think, there may have already been communications, I don't know, to change certain rules?
I hope so.
That the top 16 will be seeded and guaranteed in everything?
Oh, no, I'm not so sure about that.
Because commercially, if you're a sponsor and a TV, you're going to want those players in.
But I can hear...
Oh, I agree that you can hear the uproar now.
I shouldn't say his name here because I'm here...
Joe Cullen?
Well, I'm also hearing Alan Souter as well, with the Euro Tour as well, and it shouldn't just be a gimme. Barry Hearn says we don't reward sort of losers there, because I want to see first round losers winning, and I don't particularly want the last 16 to be guaranteed income in every single tournament. There we go. Yeah, there's my shirt there. I don't want to see every player being rewarded at the top 16, because all of a sudden then it's almost impossible not to get the last 16. I remember a conversation with Kim Hybrids.
I remember it at the World Championship.
And he just said, when you're in the top 16,
spoiled.
Life's easy. Darts is easy, and I certainly do. And they need to get themselves to Milton Keynes, to Hildesheim, to Wigan, and they need to get on the floor and do the damage there. I'm not in favour of our top players, for commercial reasons, being guaranteed top 16 in the Players' Championships.
No, I'm just interested because it's a very topic, like you said there, that sponsors.
Yeah.
If you say to a sponsor, how do you charge top dollar?
Yeah.
And you can't guarantee Luke Littler, Luke Humphries, MVG, and so on. It's a balancing act.
I get it, but I don't think we should be making it too easy. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to break into the last 16, and then that's not something that I think is a great strategic idea.
So then, how do you change the current system then to get these players to a pro tour?
Do you find them? I have been looking at the tennis. If I was staying on the PDPA, I might have sort of continued it. I've sort of been looking at the way how does
tennis and golf and things like that.
Yeah, how do they go and play like a floor tournament? So that's something I was sort of looking at. But then you get the fact that you get a Spanish number one who'll just go to the Barcelona 500 and just play in that tournament.
Yeah.
Would Luke Littler just go to Wigan for 2 Pro Tours and he's ticked that box? What I will say is, like the PDPA and the PDC, they will make the right decisions. That's what I've learned from someone who's gone from a player to the PDPA, is that they don't often get the wrong decisions in the end there. And whatever it is, a decision will be made in the correct fashion there. But giving the top 16 buys to every time because of commercial reasons is not for me.
What are you expecting from the rest of the year? Because it's a busy time, there's a lot on the line, a lot of people defending ranking money, a lot of people looking to gain and so on. What are you expecting?
I don't see domination from Luke Littler, which is the easy answer. Like I said, I think there's going to be a split. I think there'll be certain players winning different tournaments now. I like the look of Luke Humphries going into match play. It's and as a player, once you get to July, you're beginning to map the Grand Slam, the World Grand Prix, the Players' Championships, the World Championships. I just think darts is in an incredible position right now from the outside looking in, and we're at the back end of 2026 where I just think we're going to see some wonderful stories.
Do you still get goosebumps of that 2019 when they were singing "Walking in a Dozen Wonderland" at the Winter Gardens?
I do. I've just played literally 15 minutes ago there, and I played all right. I can throw a dart again now. I'm on an aeroplane tomorrow to Inverness. I don't miss playing, Phil, if that's sort of your question there.
Not miss playing, but you miss those moments. And like you said there, have you almost made peace?
Yeah.
Because I remember at one point, bitter's the wrong word, but you were annoyed with how it deteriorated so quickly. Have you made peace with that now?
Yeah, absolutely. That's better in a sense that I have made peace with the situation. I never really got the answer, overthinking and trying maybe too hard, but I was lovely and relaxed on the stage tonight, and I played better dart. And I think when I go back to those horrible years of 20, 21, 22, I was stiff as a board. It was hard to throw a dart. It feels like a distant memory now. I just want to be the best dart coach in the world, and I want to be the best dart commentator in the world. That's where my life is right now, and my life is in a fantastic place.
This is a what if. Do you ever think, what if the crash hadn't have come, what you potentially could have achieved in the PDC other than, I say only a Premier League win, because that's incredible. But do you ever think, what if?
I was tough to beat. I was very Daryl Gurney-esque. I was very like, I'd average 95, 96, can you beat it? I was tough to play against because I would dictate the pace. But it feels like a different memory right now.
I get that.
I don't have any inclination, I don't have any thoughts. I just had a fantastic career.
An unbelievable career.
And I've got an unbelievable career going forward. You wouldn't believe. I mean, you sit in the media room with me. I work bloody hard at
100%.
like trying to. I don't ad lib. I preempt games. If the game's 3-2, I've got lines for it. Like no other commentator. So I don't trust my vocabulary to get me through a game like a Rod Studd, like a Stuart Pike. What I'll give you is how that player's thinking at that point. What I'll give you is detailed knowledge about a game. And I just love being a commentator. I love being a dart coach right now. And the thoughts of like, what ifs, they're not there.
Glenn, it's a pleasure catching up with you as always, and I appreciate your honesty as always, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you.